Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a really deep, comprehensive look into the wildly fascinating Apophis Journal, specifically Volume 3, Issue 7 from July 2026. And I have to tell you, this entire issue is built on a premise that completely shatters how we usually view our own personal and spiritual journeys. The big realization here? True growth, true initiation, it's not actually about finally arriving at some grand destination. It's entirely about continuing.
The journal's editor, Michael Kelly, kicks things off by totally reframing everything we think we know about reaching our goals. As he puts it, from a distance, a horizon really looks like an ending, doesn't it? We walk toward it thinking, once I get up there, I'll have all the answers. I'll be done. But every traveler discovers the exact same truth. The horizon moves. What looks like a final ending is literally always just a gateway to a much, much larger mystery.
So, let's hit our first milestone on this endless path. Part 1, Children of the Otherworld.
The opening article of the journal flips our usual mythology completely on its head. Now, we're all pretty familiar with those classic stories of a god or a fairy coming down to Earth and leaving a moon child behind in the mortal world. Think of characters like Hercules or Merlin. But the journal highlights the absolutely wild testimony of a 16th century Scottish sorcerer named Andro Mann. He claimed to have fathered children with the fairy queen. But get this, his children lived entirely in the mythic realm. In this specific case, humanity was the one entering their world.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that the traffic between these worlds flows in both directions. Humanity and the mythic realm are continually exchanging influence, gifts, and, as we just saw, even lineages. We bring our mortal experience to the table, while the otherworld offers boundlessness. It's an ongoing, vibrant, living relationship between two realities, not just two isolated kingdoms totally disconnected from each other.
Moving right along to Part 2, The Seeds of the Harvest.
In John Vantage's incredible story of the Green Road, we cross over into Vanaheim. And what I really love about this piece in the journal is that it doesn't romanticize the magic at all. It grounds the story of Eric and Siv in rich mud, hard work, and the messy day-to-day reality of a marriage and a working farm. It's about how, over time, that deep personal connection and daily grit actually ripen into the season of Jera, which is the fiery magical rune representing the harvest.
But here's the so what of this whole section. Even in the warmth of a hard-earned, abundant life, the harvest is not an endpoint. As Siv beautifully tells Eric, a true harvest gives seed. The actual purpose of our greatest achievements, our biggest wins, and our abundant harvests is quite simply to prepare us for the new roads and callings that are waiting for us just beyond those fields.
So, how do we actually navigate those new roads? That brings us to Part 3, Walking the Sevenfold Labyrinth.
To walk these paths, we really have to understand the mechanics of the journey itself. Now, you might find this surprising, but the classical labyrinth is not a maze. A maze is specifically designed to confuse you with branching paths and dead ends. But a labyrinth, it only has one continuous path leading straight to the center. Yet, people still get completely turned around on a path with literally no wrong turns. Crazy, right? Why does that happen? Because they completely lack the inner orientation required to navigate its twisting logic.
I mean, just look at the sheer discipline required before you ever even take a single step. To avoid being totally disoriented by the labyrinth's coils, which, by the way, are said to mirror the body of a great serpent, seekers are instructed to hand-draw and trace this exact sevenfold Kaiodroya pattern daily for 7 lunar months. You literally have to memorize it in your bones before attempting the mythic journey.
The text breaks down exactly how this journey unfolds step by step over 7 consecutive nights. You start out in the outer labyrinth carrying a torch, but to enter the inner labyrinth, you actually have to extinguish your own earthly light and wait for a spectral, blue radiance to appear. It proves a really profound point. You cannot just brute force your way inward with sheer willpower. The labyrinth itself actually has to grant you permission to approach the unearthly brilliance of the center.
As we navigate these twisting paths, we come to Part 4, Spirits Who Walk Among Us.
We are definitely not walking these paths alone. The text categorizes our spiritual companions into 3 distinct groups. First, there are the known entities from myth and magic. Second, the unexpected personal encounters we just kind of stumble upon in life. And third, the fateful powers, like deities, our future self, or what's known as the Fetch, who actively shape our destiny. Crucially, the journal heavily emphasizes that treating these beings with simple courtesy, hospitality, and genuine relationship is so much more effective than the adversarial, demanding coercion you constantly see in classical grimoires.
Whether it's a helpful fairy you encounter in a forest, an ancestor visiting you in a dream, or your own fetch, these beings aren't just psychological metaphors living inside your head. They are living intelligences, actually extending a hand across worlds. Recognizing that the universe is just crowded with potential friends and teachers completely changes how we walk through it, doesn't it?
Finally, let's step back and look at the big picture in Part 5, The Endless Road of Becoming. To really understand the ultimate scale of this journey, the journal shares a wonderfully vivid, almost funny account of the historical magician John Dee. During a magical working, Dee reaches this staggering, colossal mountaintop with his spirit companion Madimi. He falls to his knees, utterly exhausted, thinking he has finally reached the ultimate summit of initiation. But Madimi casually shatters his entire worldview. She just looks at him and reveals he's only halfway there.
We humans have a funny habit of climbing a hill, planting a flag, and declaring ourselves masters of the landscape. But realizing the sheer, infinite scale of the universe isn't meant to be discouraging at all. The fact that there is no final certificate of enlightenment, no ultimate finish line where you get to clock out, is actually profoundly liberating. It means the magic and the wonder never actually die.
And that brings us to the core esoteric truth of our explainer today, which is perfectly encapsulated by one eternal word: Exskeper, meaning to become. The overarching lesson of this entire journal issue is that the goal of all this magical and personal work is never to finish. It is simply to become, over and over again, continually remanifesting in a universe that is just far, far larger than our certainties. So, we're going to leave you with this final thought to carry with you on your own winding path. The next time you reach a massive milestone in your life, remember that the stars themselves are really only the next horizon. When you finally reach what you believe is your ultimate, final destination, what new journey will you choose to become? Thank you so much for exploring the incredible Apophis Journal with us today. Keep walking that endless road.